One Piece chapter 1130. It is titled The Accursed Prince, and the cover page consists of Yamato and Otama. They are sleeping after her training and someone steals the katana while they sleep, and we can infer that it is the same person responsible for all the missing people that has happened recently. But we gotta get into the breakdown because number one, this chapter was fire, and number two, this is probably one of the most important chapters, not just for Elbaph but the entire series. Since the Alabasta Straw Hats were missing, the remaining crew members and giants were conducting a search. However, Frankie, he officially calls off this search because they haven't found them after all this time. Jinbei, even using his network of sharks, he was unable to find them, and they're out of food on the ship, so they're going to head to Elbaph. Which this isn't surprising because the Straw Hats get separated dang near every arc. It's been like this since the very beginning. There's Arlong Park, Skypiea, Dressrosa, Wano, Egghead, and they somehow always find a way to get back together once they're separated, so that'll happen whenever they make it to Elbaph. We cut back to Luffy's group, who successfully made it out of Road's room. They enter what appears to be a snowy region, and if you thought this stuff in Road's room was big, well, everything is even bigger. They don't even have time to enjoy the scenery because there are two giants that appear to be crossing the bridge, so the Straw Hats, they have to hide, and the two giants that appear, they are a part of the new giant pirates, consisting of Goldberg, who is the cook, and Jerd the doctor. I saw some people say that Jerd's design looks similar to what Nami's original design was going to be. I kind of see it, but I'm not really fully there, but I see it. But they are discussing why Haruden allowed Road on the True, and obviously this is because he is a skilled navigator. Jerd, she can't stand him and thinks that he deserves the title The Shame of Elbaph over Loki, which is kind of crazy because what was said about Loki later in the chapter, Loki seems like a crazy dude, so you mean to tell me that Road's that bad? Which, how Jerd is describing Loki, it makes me wonder if Loki is more of a misunderstood character, but we'll have to see as time goes on. The giants are headed to Road's territory to see if there are intruders in the area, and I will say, since Road likes collecting people, there is a small possibility that he ended up saving Kid. I think that would be pretty cool if Kid isn't dead. We know that the new giant pirates are technically under Luffy's command, and Road is the only one that's against it, so I wonder whether Luffy's group is caught, if they'll be welcomed or not, because they do have connections with other giants like Haruden, there's Dory, Broggy, Oimo, and Kashi. They should be welcome, and I know I'm moving ahead in this breakdown, but we know at the end of the chapter Luffy ended up meeting Loki, so I wouldn't be surprised if Luffy accidentally set him free, or somehow he breaks loose and then Luffy gets blamed. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Circling back to Luffy's group, they're crossing the large bridge, and it's really cool because I mentioned this in my Elbaph preview. I can't wait to see how Oda is going to scale different things, specifically to the Straw Hats. Since we're on Elbaph, everything is going to be a million times bigger, and we've already seen giants, a cat, trees, and now a bridge. It's definitely going to be a challenge to do this the entire arc, but we got Goda, so I'm not worried. As they're crossing the bridge, Luffy, he says that something's tingling, and he felt a roar coming down from below, and Zoro, he's itching to go, but Sanji, he grabs him before he can act, and unfortunately nobody was marking Luffy because he ended up jumping off the bridge to go after the roar that he felt. And I'm gonna push my Admiral agenda here because Loki didn't have Luffy racked in the same way that Kizaru did. Kizaru had Luffy sweating and, you know, panicking a little bit, so that's all I'm gonna say. Take it how you will. I'm pushing my agenda. But if you guys have made it this far into the video and you're enjoying the content, let me know by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. I pump out different content all the time. Back on the giant ship, Dory and Broggy were framed for attacking Egghead. The paper says that they set Egghead ablaze along with Emperor Luffy, and because they did this, they got new bounties of 1.8 billion. Some people might say that's a lot, but you got to take into consideration their bounties wasn't updated for 100 years, so there's definitely going to be some inflation. They didn't mention anything about the Straw Hats bounties increasing, which I'm a little bit concerned about. I've always thought that the Straw Hats bounties have been a little bit too low, and then there's no point in crying over something that's in the past. But if Morgan's wrote it to where Luffy is the person that killed Vegapunk, the most renowned mind in all of the series, and his bounty didn't increase after this incident, that wouldn't make any sense. Plus, the world government, they're in charge of assigning bounties, so if they're keeping the truth under wraps that the fact an Admiral, Elder, and Buster Call happened and the Straw Hats bounties didn't increase, that also wouldn't make any sense. Now, it could just be that we're waiting for Luffy's reaction, because each and every time a bounty has happened, it's been revealed through him, so we'll have to wait and see. The Giants also confirmed that Luffy is on a similar standing to Shanks, so that means there's nothing left in the way for Luffy and Shanks meeting, especially because Shanks dealt with Bartolomeo. Robin noticed there was an X marks on Luffy's arm and wonders if this appears whenever he turns into Gear 5th, and this mark is Luffy's way of letting the Straw Hats know that she's alright, since that was their way of communicating at the end of Alabasta. I think it was also spread through the paper because number 1, she's with Morgans, and number 2, this is how Luffy communicated 3D to Y during the time skip, which explains why the Straw Hats that have a connection with Vivi are currently on Elbaph, since they would have definitely noticed this mark. And I think that this is really clever by Oda, and I wonder if this has a bigger meaning than this, maybe that Vivi would potentially link up with the Straw Hats again after Elbaph. This is where we transition back to Loki, and he was born and called the Accursed Prince. He was sentenced to crucifixion, and the Elbaph warriors had to come together to capture Loki, and this is because Loki killed his father, King Harold, to take the legendary devil fruit that's passed down through the royal family. We got to learn Loki's past and the fact that he is Harudin's brother, or maybe half brothers. Nevertheless, Harudin, he is a prince of Elbaph, which provides a little bit more context to his statement during the battle at the Colosseum. I personally thought that he was all talk. I didn't actually believe that he had a rightful way to get to the throne. And if Harudin was supposed to receive this legendary devil fruit, it would make a lot more sense why he wanted the Marimara no Mi, since Loki took that fruit. But we also don't know if Loki did eat the fruit, which fruit it was, because later in the chapter, Loki referred to himself as the sun god, which, yes, Nika was known to bring liberation, and technically this doesn't mean that the fruit was the same one that Nika had, which is Luffy's Hito no Mi. But we also know that Loki's declaration of being the sun god is false, because Dory and Broggy mentioned that Luffy was the sun god from Elbaph's tales. But if Loki didn't eat the fruit and the legendary one that was eaten is Luffy's, how is he going to react? And if he did, what fruit is it? I'm not going to get into that in this video. I plan on doing a Loki video sometime later this week. The Giants mentioned that if Loki is freed, it'll be the end to everything, which sucks because Luffy, he found his way to Loki, and you know, I will say Loki design, it looks amazing. He's chained up with tattoos, wraps around his eyes, and he has long hair. And a bit of Norse mythology history, Loki was chained up because he was behind Baldur's death, and in the One Piece's version, Loki's chained up because he killed his father. His design, it reminds me of a mix between Kaido, Katakuri, and Doflamingo, but as they are talking, Loki confirms that this is the mighty kingdom of Elbaph, which once breathed warfare. We got a beautiful double spread of the Yggdrasil tree, and Loki claims that he's the sun god who will bring about the end of the world, which would probably be during Ragnarok, or what causes it. Which, as I mentioned earlier, the sun god was meant to give slaves hope and joy through troublesome times. So Loki saying that he's going to bring the end to the world is a cool twist, and I wonder what caused him to be like this. Was he a tragic hero, or was he just wanting to see the world burn? Since One Piece's manga is on break for 2 weeks, I'll have some time to look at Loki specifically and drop a video later this week. If Loki is indeed the main villain of this arc, I would love to see a Loki versus Luffy matchup, especially Luffy turning into his giant form in Gear 5th. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know how you guys feel about chapter 1130 in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.